Let's talk about the Phoenix Suns because right now the Phoenix Suns are in a terrible situation. The Phoenix Suns are currently the 11th seed in the Western Conference, and Kevin Durant is dealing with an ankle injury right now. He has been out for the last week. He suffered that ankle injury against the Houston Rockets. Their record on the season is 35-42. Even with a healthy Kevin Durant, they have struggled this season. The trio with Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, and Kevin Durant has not worked out. This is the second coach that we have seen go out there and coach a roster like this. We saw Frank Vogel do it last season, and now it's Mike Budenholzer. The thing is this, it doesn't matter who the head coach is. The owner has put himself into a corner because of all the draft resources that you traded to bring in Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal. It was no reason to go out there and blow up the roster that you had in 2021 that was being coached up by Monty Williams. What made the Phoenix Suns so special at that point in time, we saw them in the NBA bubble. They went undefeated. And say what you want to say about the NBA bubble, but they still was one of the better teams in the bubble. And they were on the rise from that point on. We saw them go out there. They brought in Chris Paul. They went to the NBA Finals against the Milwaukee Bucks. They lost in 6 games, but that was still a very successful season. You had a lineup that had Chris Paul, DeAndre Ayton, Devin Booker, and you also had Mikal Bridges. You had the right pieces on your team. All you had to do was just to bring in a couple more players or bring in one big superstar like Kevin Durant, and it would possibly push you over the top. But they didn't do that. They went overkill with the trades. And the reason why I'm not going to come on here and beat up on them for going out there and trading for Kevin Durant, he is still one of the best players that you can have in the NBA on the offensive end. But it's what you traded to go get Kevin Durant. You traded Mikal Bridges, who played a central role to why you went to the NBA Finals. He was one of the best defenders in the NBA during the 2021 season, especially in that playoff run against the Milwaukee Bucks. He had some big time moments. You also traded Cam Johnson, Jay Crowder. Those 2 players, you just say, okay, you had to throw those guys in the deal. But the biggest pieces of that deal was trading Mikal Bridges, and the fact you traded not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 first-round picks that are all unprotected. So you were basically mortgaging your future on Kevin Durant and Devin Booker to fully work out. And then they made another trade. Now, in the midst of doing all of this, you had a brand new owner and Matt. That's your owner right now. And all of this has happened on his watch. You go out there, you trade for Kevin Durant, and you bring in Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal has one of the worst contracts in the NBA. And because of that contract, you can make the case that he's one of the worst players in the NBA. He's making over $50 million. Bradley Beal is not worth over $50 million, but he signed that extension with the Washington Wizards. So you go out there and you move on from Chris Paul. You trade him to the Washington Wizards, and you also trade some more draft picks also. You traded 4 first-round picks to the Washington Wizards to bring in Bradley Beal. And the reason why I hated the trade at the time, Chris Paul was the perfect guard to have alongside Devin Booker. Devin Booker is better off as a shooting guard. Chris Paul is the ultimate facilitator. He will move out the way. He will set Devin Booker up. Devin Booker and Bradley Beal, they're similar players, but Devin Booker is a better player than Bradley Beal. They both operate on the floor at the same time, in the same spacing. They'll go out there, mid-range shot, knock it down. They're not facilitators. And Kevin Durant, he's not a facilitator. So we saw Frank Vogel try to go out there and make Kevin Durant a facilitator. That didn't work out. He tried to make Devin Booker a facilitator. The Suns tried that when he was younger. That's not his game. And you know that Bradley Beal, he's not a facilitator. Even back to with the Washington Wizards in his prime, John Wall was a primary facilitator and a primary ball handler for that team and that organization. And Bradley Beal never won big with the Washington Wizards. You could say the same thing with Devin Booker, but Devin Booker would at least go out there and be consistent. We saw some inconsistent games with Bradley Beal in the past with the Wizards. He put up a lot of good numbers on bad basketball teams. They thought that they were just 2 pieces away, but instead of going out there and building around that team that you had with DeAndre Ayton, Mikal Bridges, Devin Booker, and Chris Paul, you completely blew it up. And you fired your head coach in Monty Williams. You brought over Frank Vogel, and he tried to work things out. You made the NBA playoffs last season, but you got bounced out of the first round by the Minnesota Timberwolves. Look at what Anthony Edwards and Cat And Rudy Gobert did to his team, and the same with Mike Conley. They went out there and they destroyed the Phoenix Suns because the Phoenix Suns on the offensive end, they're solid. For the trio that they have, they are underwhelming. But for the league pace, they're above average. They have a top 10 offensive rating, but their defense is completely terrible. And they fired Frank Vogel because they wanted better defensive adjustments. It's only so many adjustments that you can make with Bradley Beal and Kevin Durant on your team. Kevin Durant is not a lockdown defender. He has never been a lockdown defender. He is known to be one of the best scorers that we have seen in the last 30 years. Bradley Beal, he is known to be a solid scorer at times, and the same with Devin Booker. Now, Devin Booker will go out there. He will play defense on the perimeter. But that's why you need to keep Mikal Bridges if you wanted this to fully work out. And once again, I'm not saying them going out there and bringing over Kevin Durant was a terrible decision. Kevin Durant is a straight up baller. It's the fact that you brought in Bradley Beal, and I'm still scratching my head about that deal. And you may say that I'm hating on Bradley Beal. Last night they lost against the Boston Celtics. Bradley Beal only had 1 point, and he played in 30 minutes. And he only produced 1 point. And you know that he's not playing defense on the other end. He's the definition of a calm player with the Phoenix Suns. When you fire Frank Vogel, you bring over Mike Budenholzer. Funny enough, he was the head coach with the Milwaukee Bucks when they defeated the Phoenix Suns in 2021 in the NBA Finals. They benched Bradley Beal this season. He's damn near unplayable, and they tried to trade him, but he has a no-trade clause. He's getting paid over $50 million. He has a no-trade clause, and no team wants him. The perfect fit with the Phoenix Suns was Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler initially did not want to go to the Golden State Warriors. He wanted to come over to the Phoenix Suns. But the Miami Heat, they did not want Bradley Beal. They did not want to take on that contract. So instead, you got to see Jimmy Butler move over to the Golden State Warriors, a team in this conference. He would have been the perfect perimeter player to play alongside Devin Booker and Kevin Durant. That would have been the perfect fit. That would have easily pushed the Phoenix Suns into being above play-in territory. But right now, you have a worse record than the Sacramento Kings. And you have more star power. This is to show everything about the current state of the NBA. The big three no longer exist. When we go back many years ago, you look at big threes, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson. You don't have to have three great players on your roster anymore to go out there and win championships. Look at some of the better teams in the NBA right now. The Oklahoma City Thunder, they have Shea. He may be an MVP this year. They have better pieces around him. They're a complete team. The same with the Houston Rockets. And the Houston Rockets stole the blueprint from the Phoenix Suns. The Phoenix Suns had a young core that developed together, and they went on a championship run, and they blew it up. I blame all this on the owner and the front office as a whole. But it seems like more than likely they're going to fire Mike Budenholzer after this season. They may trade Kevin Durant, and they may have pissed Kevin Durant off because around the trade deadline, while they were trying to bring in Jimmy Butler, and they realized they were not going to make a move to bring him in because the contract of Bradley Beal, we have to trade someone. And they really don't want to trade Devin Booker because they drafted him. He is the face of the Phoenix Suns, even with Kevin Durant on the roster. Devin Booker, he's the fan favorite. He's the guy. He's been here his entire career. He has broken records with this organization. Kevin Durant, this is a player that's bounced around the NBA. Kevin Durant went from the Oklahoma City Thunder, went to the Golden State Warriors, went to the Brooklyn Nets. Now he's with the Phoenix Suns. They were talking about trading him to the Golden State Warriors, and Kevin Durant got wind of this, and he said, no, I want to stay with the Phoenix Suns. And a report came out. He asked, why do you want to trade me? Because they need draft resources moving forward. Because this has been a colossal failure. And I wish that they could cut Bradley Beal, but they can't. And I look at Bradley Beal, and I really scratch my head, and I just look at him. Why would you want to stay with an organization that doesn't value you? They don't care for Bradley Beal anymore. They benched the man. He's making over $50 million. They've cut his minutes in half. When they put him in the starting lineup, they'll immediately take him out just a couple minutes in the first quarter because he can't operate around Devin Booker and Kevin Durant, and they are far better players than him. And the fact that you're paying Devin Booker this much money, the same with Kevin Durant and with Bradley Beal, you cannot fill out the rest of your roster. You do have Grayson Allen. It's a solid 3-and-D player. Very good three-point shooter. I like Grayson Allen a lot. He was very good with the Milwaukee Bucks for many years. You brought over Tyus Jones. He's a very good backup point guard. That's all that he is. He's a bench player. He's not going to be able to go out there and have the same effectiveness like a Derek White with the Boston Celtics. But you could have brought in some better guards, some other players around this core that you have if you're not paying this big three this much money. It was really unnecessary to go out there and trade for Bradley Beal. So when your three best players can't go out there and do everything for you, it becomes a burden on the rest of the roster to try to step up. They put Bol in the starting lineup. Bol is not a good starting center. You had Yusuf Nurkic. He was a terrible starter. He was one of the worst starters in the NBA. You traded him to the Charlotte Hornets. You have Colin Gillespie. You've put him into the starting lineup at certain points in times. And he has been very crucial down the stretch. The coaches have done everything. Frank Vogel did everything that he could. And he won a championship in the bubble with the Los Angeles Lakers. He was very successful with the Indiana Pacers. He did the best that he could. And the same with Mike Budenholzer. When you're bringing in veteran coaches that have had success in the NBA and they can't even figure this out, that says a lot about the current roster that you have. But eventually, they're going to move on from Kevin Durant, more than likely this offseason. Now, it depends on how much you can get for Kevin Durant because Kevin Durant is an older player. This is not the same Kevin Durant that was in his late 20s and his early 30s. He's 36 years old, and he has suffered injuries. He suffered a torn Achilles in the NBA Finals against the Toronto Raptors. And even though he is still a great player to have, you guys know how trades work. As you get older, you're not going to want to go out there and give up much for that player. And Kevin Durant's averaging 26 points a game, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. He is still efficient. 53% from the field, and his three-point percentage is beautiful, sitting at 43%. And when they move on from Kevin Durant, do not be surprised if Devin Booker if he requests a trade, because he has been through this before. He's been through the rebuilding phase before. When they first drafted him, they were a rebuilding franchise. And I believe that he has hit his ceiling with this organization also. And I would hate to see him leave. But it's the fact that Bradley Beal doesn't want to leave and the fact that they can't trade him. When you look at Devin Booker, 26 points a game, 4 rebounds, 7 assists, shooting 45% from the field, shooting 34% from the three. And this is still not his natural role because they have him as the main facilitator, especially in the back half of the season since the All-Star break. This is one of the worst situations in the NBA. I know that many people may say that it is the Philadelphia 76ers. At least you still have Tyrese Maxey and you have Joel Embiid if he's able to stay fully healthy. Even when this big three is fully healthy, they can't contend in the Western Conference. And that's another thing that has hurt the Phoenix Suns over the last 4 years. The Western Conference has gotten better. The Houston Rockets are better. OKC, they're better. The Denver Nuggets have gotten better with Jokic and Jamal Murray. And that's also a perfect blueprint. Look at how they filled out the rest of their roster around Jokic and also around Jamal Murray. The Phoenix Suns, they had it, but they let it slip through their hands. But let me know in the comment section below, what should the Phoenix Suns do moving forward? And should they try to at least still basically trade Kevin Durant and Devin Booker to try to establish this entire situation? If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for the video, guys. God bless. Peace.